Hi, and welcome to Executive Function and Understanding Emotional Meltdowns and Self-Regulation. My name is Trish, and I will be providing the webinar today. Most children with ADHD have challenges due to executive functioning deficits. You can have ADHD and not have challenges with executive functioning. You can have executive functioning challenges and not have an ADHD diagnosis. So, for example, you can have it if you have depression, anxiety, or various cognitive impairments. So, what is executive functioning? Executive functioning is considered the CEO or boss of the brain. Executive function refers to a wide range of central control processes in the brain that activate, integrate, and manage other brain functions. Identifying the specific struggles your child may have in executive functioning can guide you in understanding the assistance that they may need. Dr. Thomas Brown compares executive functioning of the brain to the function of a conductor of an orchestra. The conductor organizes, focuses, and directs the musicians as they play, enabling the orchestra to produce complex music. While it's not part of the diagnostic criteria, many ADHD experts consider deficits in executive functioning to be a core characteristic of ADHD. Brown compared impairment of executive functioning to having a symphony orchestra of concert-quality musicians without a conductor. Without the conductor, to make sure everyone is playing together at the right tempo and following on the same page and in the same key, the music simply cannot sound as the composer intended it to. The components of executive functioning that often impact a child with ADHD are working memory and recall, activation, arousal and effort, emotion control, internalizing language, and complex problem solving. In red, you'll see working memory and recall, which is holding facts in mind while manipulating information and accessing facts stored in long-term memory. So, for example, in math class, your child might remember the numbers the teacher said to add, 21 and 13, but she might not recall what she's supposed to do with them. Or she might not hold on to that sum of 34 so she can subtract 6 from it. In purple, we have activation, arousal, and effort. That's getting started, paying attention, and completing work. So, for example, your child repeatedly mixes up assignments. She doesn't bring home the books or handouts she needs for her homework. Your child's desk is full of crumpled papers and pencil stubs, or her schoolwork folder and the pencil box on her desk are both empty. In blue, we have emotion control. That's tolerating frustration and thinking before acting or speaking. So, for example, your child frequently gets upset about the little things like running out of a favorite snack food. He may yell at you that you never have anything good to eat in the house. Or your child often feels singled out and says it's not fair that the teacher is making him take work home to finish it even though the other kids finished theirs in class. In black is internalizing language. That's using self-talk to control one's behavior and direct future actions. So, for example, your child gets a bad grade on a book report because she turned it in late or didn't finish the whole assignment. In yellow, we have complex problem solving. That is taking an issue apart, analyzing the pieces, and reconstituting and organizing them into new ideas. So, for example, your child tries to convince you to extend curfew, but can't give you any good reason why you should. Your child gets a bad grade on an essay for not using enough detail, repeats things, or makes odd comparisons. Symptoms also affect social functioning. This is not thought about, but because of executive functioning impairments, your child may miss social cues, have trouble following conversations, be more focused on what she's talking about, and as a result, this may impact friendships and positive social interactions. So, how does ADHD and executive functioning symptoms impact daily life at home? At home, there is overlap with what teachers report to you that happens at school. Your child will have trouble with following directions and especially with multi-step ones. He may have difficulty completing chores. He may have trouble remembering to do them or just takes forever to get them completed because he gets distracted with his thoughts or starts to do something else. Your daughter may have organization and planning difficulties, so as a result, she will have a messy room, she loses things, and she has trouble with morning and afternoon routines because her thoughts are disorganized and she has trouble transitioning from one activity to the next. Your child may be very forgetful, so you may have asked your child multiple times to put their dish in the dishwasher until they actually do it. Children with executive function impairment are also resistant to engage in tasks such as homework that requires sustained mental effort. And finally, you'll see your child struggle with emotional regulation. So he may get angry or overwhelmed very easily. So now let's talk about how to build better executive function skills. So when you're thinking about ADHD treatment, you want to look at more than just the school piece. You want to look at how it impacts your child at school, home, and socially. Also, you'll want to keep in mind that there may be things that seem very logical and may come easier for you because you're an adult who has mastered these skills, or you may be someone who doesn't have ADHD and these things come more naturally to you. Keep in mind, just because you give your child the tools that she should use, like a calendar, planner, task list, or other device, doesn't mean that she knows how to use these tools effectively. It's the right tool for her, or that she'll use them consistently, especially when you're first introducing the tools to her. It takes experimentation to find the right tools and a little bit of time to develop habits. Within reason, individuals with ADHD are capable of completing these tasks, but they need to be provided with support, structure, and tools by the adults in their life. The more scaffolding that is put in place now, the more independent your child will become because they'll learn what works best for them and incorporate these tools and strategies on their own. So let's get a little more specific about what tools and strategies can be used to help with different impairments. First, let's talk about emotional regulation. Here are some concrete ideas to teach your child to help him to cool down. The very first thing is to take a deep breath. Research has shown that taking a deep breath calms the part of the brain most involved in processing emotions. One idea is to imagine that when you inhale, you are filling up a balloon in your belly and count to 5. Then exhale to the count of 5 and imagine that you are sending out all the air until your belly button hits your back. This is called belly breathing. You can do this several times and focus on your breath, or you're counting while you breathe. Meditation and yoga are very self-soothing activities for many people. Many kids have learned mindfulness meditation at school, which can be very helpful for regulating feelings. If not, there are apps and programs online to teach meditation. One example is Headspace, and it's available at headspace.com. I highly recommend learning and practicing relaxation exercises, such as progressive muscle relaxation. A lot of sports coaches are teaching their kids how to do this. Other ideas for relaxation exercises are thinking of places you have been in the past where you were relaxed or imagining relaxing scenes. There are apps available to help with relaxation as well, such as Calm at calm.com. There are other apps now available to help with tracking and regulating emotions. There is an app from the Zones of Regulation curriculum that may be very helpful for educating children about their emotions and about learning to regulate them. I suggest that you and your child locate or create a cooling off space, a place that they can go when they need to cool off. Find a place to be alone and have activities already there for your child that you and he will think will be soothing. This is very different than a timeout. This is not a punishment or a kind of discipline. It's just a place to go to be calm and is associated with calming things. For example, a child once set up a tent in her room with drawing materials and music to listen to. Her mother would put small snacks in the tent as well. Sometimes kids find it helpful to put out the fire with a bath or a shower. Also, exercise can be extremely helpful. Encourage kids who are upset to go outside for a run or a walk or a bike ride. An example is that a swim coach told his kids that if they were upset to go swim 40 laps. Then if they were still upset, to go swim 10 more laps and 10 more until they weren't upset anymore. Another idea is playing with your cat or dog or taking her for a walk. That can be helpful in many ways. Even cuddling a soft stuffed animal can be calming for some children. Another strategy or tip is to get out into nature. Go outside and go for a walk and take in some deep breaths. Some kids find drawing or painting to be soothing. Drawing or writing about their thoughts and feelings can be very helpful in the moment and later for problem solving. Also, many people find that listening to music is calming. Of course, music can be combined with any of the activities that we've already provided. And finally, talking to someone is a great way to help calm down. As a parent, the best thing you can do if your child wants to talk is for you to listen without interrupting. Just listen, calmly and with great interest. There's no need to paraphrase or offer advice. Next, let's talk about organization. When we think about organizational skills, it's more than just managing stuff. To be successful in school and in life, your child needs to organize their things, activities, thinking, writing, and speaking. Organizational deficits are typically seen in younger children with ADHD, but they become more debilitating as children get older and demands become greater. Parents and teachers must teach organization skills and provide structure and routines. It's important to note that teaching organizational skills is an ongoing effort. Skills should be taught throughout life because it's not sufficient to teach organizational skills at younger ages and assume that your child will be able to execute these skills when the environment changes. Systems for managing activities and materials are important at home and in the classroom. When organizational systems aren't working, this results in lost time. There are a variety of organizational strategies that parents can keep in their toolbox to help foster organizational skills. Test your child to see if they can find a specific item in their bedroom or in their school binder. If they can't find something in their binder, for example, then they need some organizational tools. Here are some suggestions. To find items, use color coding by subject matter, using a tile app to make everything findable like keys, backpacks, and coats, clear storage bins, a launch and landing pad, open bins, a command center, a rolling homework or project cart or toolkits, elasticated folders, expanding file folders, labels, and finally, a scanner to save all paper electronically. To help with sequencing, use a priority matrix task list, timeline templates, note cards effectively, highlighters, project outlines, and graphic organizers. To help with transitions, use picture schedules, timers, sensory break cards, first, then boards, bells or chimes, switching lights on or off, verbal countdowns, transition songs, and eye contact or touch their shoulder. To help with memory, use virtual assistants like Siri, Google Home, or Alexa. You can use phone calendars, apps, and timers, a calendar or agenda, signs, acronyms, songs, Post-it notes, and smart plugs. For more organizational tips that you can use with your child at home, if you haven't already done so, please watch the webinar, Creating an ADHD-Friendly Home Environment. At a time that you're especially productive, start by creating daily routines for your child that break down big activities into smaller steps and think about how much time is needed for each task. You'll probably want to build in some wiggle room until you have how much time you'll really need to accomplish a task down pat. For your child's daily routine, as much as possible, schedule activities for the same times every day so they're easier for your child to remember. If you have a teenager who's struggling, you may want to take over and create a routine, but you can't do that for him at this age. He needs to build these skills now. If your child is overwhelmed with the process, provide him with options and have him decide where it belongs. For example, ask your son what time he needs to get up each day in order to be ready for school, and then have him put it on his daily routine. So once the daily routines are done, put them where you both can see them and stick to the start and end times that you agreed on for each task. So here are some things that to include in your daily routines. The first is wake time and sleep time. If you're not doing it already, the first thing to add to your daily routine is to get up and go to sleep at the same time every single day, even on weekends. Pick a wake time and sleep time that you both can handle, and then schedule your alarm, and then help your child set their alarm. Your child shouldn't depend on you to get them up in the morning, but let's be real. At least in the beginning, you're going to have to nag them to get up and maybe set one of those annoying alarm clocks. In the long run, by keeping this routine, it makes it easier to wake up every day, to fall asleep, and it improves your child's mood. It doesn't have to be early. Consider your needs and your child's needs. Think about how long it takes for your child to wind down at night and to get motivated and going in the morning. Keep in mind, again, that if you have a teenager, she'll probably not want to go to bed early or get up early because puberty is making her brain stay up late and sleep late. What I would suggest is to help her decide how much sleep she needs and allow her to make the decision on when to go to bed and when to get up so that she feels well rested and makes it to class on time. You've heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but did you know that it directly impacts your ability to maintain attention during the morning? Be sure to include lean proteins, steel-cut oats, Greek-style yogurt, and fresh fruits or scrambled eggs with vegetables. Breakfast that includes vegetables and fruits can also help stimulant medications to remain active in one's system for longer. Next, include exercise in your daily routine. Research shows that physical activity and movement helps to increase attention, decision-making, and learning. With physical activity, executive function performance improves in as little as 20 minutes. And ADHD symptoms can reduce in intensity in as little as 30 minutes of exercise. So by adding in those 20 to 30 minutes of time outside to your daily routine, you'll help with both getting a better night's sleep and with attention and learning. Next, add schedule time off onto your daily routine. Don't make the entire day about schoolwork. Give your children moments to look forward to throughout the day. Providing movement breaks during homework can be valuable for all ages, just as in in-person classrooms. Don't forget to communicate your child's needs to your child's teacher. If your child's teacher isn't doing so already, ask that they provide a daily class schedule that your child can follow each day, and for them to minimize the number of platforms that your child will need to use to check for classwork. Next, we're going to talk about harnessing fidgeting. Oftentimes, parents and educators want to stop a child from fidgeting because perhaps it's distracting to others. But by allowing a child to fidget, it helps him to focus. Your child's fidgeting just needs to be harnessed so that it doesn't become a distraction to herself or others. At home and at school, a dedicated workspace should be kept clear of non-essential items. Also, if your child has trouble sitting still, consider the following. First, a standing desk or a desk topper that converts a regular desk into a standing one. Next, a desk bike or elliptical under the desk. Also, a yoga ball or other similar type of chair or cushion that allows some movement. Next, feet fidgets like kick bands can be used, or they can take their foot and raise it from the floor and draw circles or wiggle their toes. And finally, hand fidgets can be provided as long as eye contact is maintained and what they are using is not disruptive or stopping them from completing tasks. Another option is that they can tap their fingers in the air at a set pace, like this. So now let's talk about time management. Keep in mind that performing time management is so that your child can balance multiple priorities. The tools that they choose to use should help them and not be overwhelming. You should also work with your child's teachers to include the accommodations and interventions that you find are helpful in his or her education plan. So let's get started on discussing the various external tools and strategies that you can choose from to manage time better. The first intervention is to carry a small pocket journal or use the notes feature on their phone or to use a digital recorder. Anything your child agrees to do should be immediately written down or recorded. That's their working memory. For younger children, use simple homework and task lists to keep track of homework and projects. Use timers or timed checklists. People with ADHD don't have an internal clock, so if anything involves time, there must be a timer. There must be something physical that signals the passage of time. Task timers can help your child get better at judging how much time each task will take and let them know when it's time to move on to something new. A timed checklist is a list of things that need to get done each day with a time limit. After creating the list, set a timer to stay focused and on task. A timer game can be used to challenge yourself to get tasks done on time. Here are some options that, aside from your standard kitchen, liquid, or sand timers, that might guide you in the right direction to find the right timer for you and your family. The first one is Time Timer. It's a helpful visual timer that can be used in any setting. The timer is set for the amount of time you choose and starts as a solid red color. As time goes by, the red starts to go away. It's a clear visual of how much time you have left to work with. Time Timer has clocks, watches, and apps available on their website at timetimer.com. The Pomodoro technique has you focus on a set task for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break and repeat. The Pomodoro website is full of information on how to make this technique work for you, and you can purchase the book and Tomato Timer to put it into practice at home. And finally, a phone alarm is by far the most common way people use alarms and timers. People use phone timers not only to manage time, but to remember daily tasks like taking medication or picking up their kids from school. Next, utilize classmates and teachers' aides. Ask your child's teacher to pair your child with a positive role model that can help him to remember to write down tasks and complete an end of school day checklist. Next, take pictures. If an assignment is written down, your child can take a picture of the assignment and attach it to a calendar reminder so that she has all of the details in one place. Next, get the medication right. If your child is on medication and your child's medications aren't effective in helping her to focus, work with your doctor to get the medication right. When your child can focus, they can complete tasks more quickly and will be less frustrated. Next, use rewards. Keep your child motivated by providing rewards immediately. Reward your child by taking a walk with them, making them a hot beverage, or maybe 15 minutes of TV, iPad time, or just dancing to get the wiggles out. Then get back on schedule. Now we're going to talk about managing calendars effectively. Managing a calendar can be difficult, but especially if you're someone with ADHD. If your school doesn't provide a printed one, you can find them on Amazon. If your child prefers to manage things online, there are plenty of apps available that can be synced with other devices. Whatever method you and your child prefer, there are some basic principles that you can suggest to your child that they use. In the beginning, you'll want to help your child with this, and then as they gain experience, they can practice these skills on their own. So here are some suggestions. Number 1, Capture all of your homework and projects in one place, whether it's online or in a student calendar. Number 2, if something has a due date, put it on the calendar and create a color coding system to highlight it, like red for deadline. Or you can use color coding for different classes. If it's a project, break down and list all of the steps needed to complete the project on a piece of paper. You have to break the future into pieces to do today because people with ADHD can only deal with things near in time and they have difficulty planning ahead. So for example, research, buy supplies like poster board or glue, find pictures, write the essay, make the poster, make presentation notes, and practice. Then list the order in which these steps should be completed and put down which ones require that you're in a specific place, like go to the library or go to the store. Now, this is the hard part. You and your child will need to decide how much time each of the steps will take. You'll probably want to add some extra time or more time than you think than it will take until you get to know how long things really take. You'll want to make sure that the steps don't conflict with other deadlines on the calendar. When that list is completed, add all of these tasks to the calendar in the order that they need to be completed in order to meet the deadline. Then when each of these tasks are completed, in particular for younger children, provide a reward. Next, there are multiple types of planners, both electronic and paper. If your child likes paper, think about what paper planner works best for them. Ask them for their feedback. So questions you can ask are, do you like a small planner so you can carry it with you in your pocket, or a big one that you can put in your bag so you won't lose it? Do you like yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, or hourly layouts? Do you want to track your projects, homework, goals, birthdays, meals, or medication? If you can't find the ideal planner already printed and available online, sketch out your child's ideal planner and then either find an online site that'll create your custom planner or design it on your computer and print it out. Another planner system to consider is the bullet journal system. It's a system that allows you to plan for the future, track the past, and it requires some basic supplies. To find tutorials on how to use this method, you can search YouTube. Online planner options include Trello, Todoist, My Homework, Student Planner, My Study Life, School Planner, Student Calendar, Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook, and iStudies. If your child prefers online calendars, explore these options to see what works for you and your child. Next, we're going to talk about distractions. It happens to all of us, kids and adults with or without ADHD. We all struggle with things like visiting online sites that aren't work or school related, family members distracting us, responding to phone calls or texts, realizing we forgot to do something and deciding to get it done because it's important, or there's loud construction going on outside. The distractions are very distracting, and it's beyond challenging to deal with. Struggling to pay attention often happens when children are assigned boring, tedious, lengthy, or repetitive and unappealing activities. Your child might not be able to have the same level of motivation and willpower as others their age when uninteresting yet important tasks must be performed. Your child may often report becoming easily bored with these tasks and consequently shift from one uncompleted activity to another. Your child may also have problems with completing routine assignments without direct supervision because they're unable to stay on task during independent work. So first, let's start with some strategies and accommodations that you and your child can put into place in the classroom or when your child is doing homework. First, if possible, have your homework station in a place like a kitchen or dining room so that you can keep an eye out as much as possible. If she doesn't need her computer, don't have it open and have her keep her phone in another room. If he does need his computer, instead of saying, you better not have any more tabs open, or if I see you on YouTube one more time, you're in big trouble, say, do you know what might help you to stay focused on this activity? And see what he says. In general, as much as possible, put a little bit of ownership on your child and allow him into buying into, all right, it's my job to get this done. He might be more likely to get the job done. If all else fails, use apps and programs to block out online distractions. It can be frustrating if other family members are creating distractions and not respecting the need for quiet. So tell your family that your child needs some quiet time when doing their homework. And if they haven't been cooperative, ask them for ideas on ways that they can help. Perhaps your spouse can run errands, take smaller children outside, or play games. Think of practical things that can work for everyone. Another idea is to provide rewards to smaller children who can keep it down during homework. So let's get real. Often having a completely quiet house can be a huge challenge, even if all of your family members are being cooperative. There are household and outside noises that can create a distraction. When your child is working independently, use white noise or a sound machine. You can search for loud fans for sleeping or small sound machines or apps that produce white noise. If your child or teen prefers ambient noise like sitting in a coffee shop, library sounds, nature sounds, or a crackling fireplace, YouTube and sound machine devices may make it easier for you to block out the noise and focus. Next, using earplugs or noise-canceling headphones and listening to background music that doesn't contain lyrics can be helpful. So now let's talk about how the teacher can help. If your child's teacher is not doing these things already, ask them to limit repetitive assignments, especially if your child has already mastered the material. Your child is most able to pay attention to tasks that present some challenge, but are within their current learning zone. So now let's talk about some tools that may help. As mentioned earlier, white noise machines can help some people to focus on their work. The first one is Ambient Mixer, which is a free online source of white noise from many locations, including fictional spots. The next one is White Noise and Company, which is a tool to generate your own customized white noise. You can also search on Amazon, and they have many small and portable machines that can provide just basic white noise to more sophisticated models with more features and sounds. As an added benefit, these can also help with sleeping. Finding a loud fan can sometimes be a challenge these days, but if you have one or find one, that can work too, of course. The next tools are the Motivator or Watchminder. Your child can wear these devices either on a waistband, carry it in a pocket, or on a wrist, and the vibration signal keeps your child focused on what she wants to accomplish. If you want to use a tool like this in class, be sure to talk to the teacher about what it is and why your child is using it in the classroom. The next tool is to use a privacy board. It's simply a 3-panel privacy board that helps to block visual distractions. You can find them on Amazon and education stores. The next tool is a Chrome extension called Stay Focused. It helps your child to stay focused on work by restricting the amount of time that they can spend on time-wasting websites. Once the allotted time has been used up, the sites that you have blocked will be inaccessible for the rest of the day. Another extension is the distraction-free mode for Google Docs and Google Slides. Your child will benefit if you use this extension when they're writing a paper or taking notes. It hides all the controls and buttons and helps your child to focus on the creation rather than the formatting. After the notes or writing are done, you can then focus on the formatting. As an added benefit, if your child prefers to speak out their writing, you can use voice typing while you're in distraction-free mode. The final tool is to use device contracts. Banning digital devices is almost impossible, but providing your child with rules in writing so that they are understood and they get rewards for following the rules is a win-win-win for teachers, parents, and kids. Thank you for joining me for this webinar.